Now we'll come to the part on economic analysis. There are different ways that we can analyze different alternatives. The basic idea will still be whether or not it provides value. If there's a single alternative, meaning that some opportunity was presented to you, and then you have to decide whether or not you want to take on that opportunity. The other alternative will be not doing anything. So it's also a decision, a choice that you would like to make. However, to take the new opportunity, we need to analyze whether or not it's beneficial. Any kind of opportunity will involve cost, and we need to see whether or not the resulting benefit will outweigh the cost. If it is, then we can take the opportunity. If it's not, then we'll give up the opportunity and remain where we were in the beginning. So we're going to go through the analysis. Well, basically, if we are using the economic analysis tool correctly, we should come to the same conclusion. Meaning that economic analysis is more of a quantitative analysis. If we are received the same kind of data, doesn't matter in which way we analyze the data, the result, which is also a quantitative result, should come to the same conclusion. Of course, there are some simple, intuitive, but not precise way to help us making decision. Those we need to be aware. Those decisions may not be consistent with all the formal economic analysis methods. So benefit cost analysis, later you will see there are different ways to show how benefit is more than the cost. So there are different expressions, so that different values, different outcome will be shown, but they are all the same. So they whichever way that we take, they should all come to the same conclusion: accept or reject. Benefit cost analysis is quite commonly used for evaluating public projects. When we think about public project, it's not just making profit, and I think more importantly, public projects, the party contributing to the monetary resources may not be themselves, and the users are in many situations, in many cases, other parties. For example, in order to build up the infrastructure for an industrial park, so the government invested on certain amount of budget, and companies can move in. Company can set up their facilities, receive order, making products, selling products, and along the way they provide job opportunities to local people and help out with the local business. So government are the sponsors of the projects, but users are citizens, companies, and so on. So we need to sort of understand that although government by themselves, they won't make profit out of it, but the benefit the projects created, okay, the receiving end of the project, the users, as long as they can generate greater benefit, that will be considered the benefit of such kind of public projects. You can also think of not necessarily just roads. You can think of energy. You can think of public transportation and so on. Government contributes significantly significant budget to improve on the such kind of infrastructures, and business started to boom and creating a lot of benefit for all the citizens. In order to perform benefit cost analysis, we need to identify users and sponsors of the projects. So we know users, we know all the possible users, all the benefits that can created by the project. Then that serve as the sum of the benefit. Okay? If we miss some users, then we didn't think of the potential benefit to them, then we will not have when we evaluate the project, we may find that it doesn't provide enough benefit. However, it's due to our misunderstanding and neglecting of the certain users. And also for the sponsors, okay, sponsors, the party contributing to the resources. These need to be clearly identified. And the benefit, or sometimes there are some disbenefits, right? When you are doing the project, there will be benefit for sure, but this benefit meaning that it will create other issues that we need to take care. All these, although some clearly will not be quantitative right from the beginning, but in order to perform economic analysis, in order to perform benefit cost analysis, we need to quantify all such factors. Something not directly reflected by money, find a way to convert it into money. Or alternatively, if we say that we can still find some quantitative measure to convert into, then we can still use them. As long as we have the right set of benefits and right set of cost, then we can compute and compare this benefit and cost. And to do this, again, usually the project will span across multiple periods, sometimes multiple years. So we need to have an interest rate identified, an appropriate interest rate, so that we can use it to adjust the benefit and cost based on time value of money. Benefit cost analysis usually come with this so-called benefit cost ratio, which you can probably understand immediately. We want to have benefit more than cost, and the benefits come from users, and the cost come from sponsors. And when the ratio is greater than 1, then this project can be justified. Okay, so here I also want to stress that whenever we talk about an economic analysis, we talk about a certain way to assess whether or not we want to accept or reject the alternative. Okay? We provide an analysis, a structure, an indicator in this case to assess the alternative. Sometimes we will think, okay, this particular assessment seems to be equivalent to some other assessment, so we automatically or intuitively just decided to use this other similar criterion. But sometimes the association may not be exactly the same. So whenever we want to turn one assessment criterion into another, we have to make sure that the transformation or the conversion from one to another can be done rigorously. Okay, so here what we are talking about is a ratio, benefit cost ratio. It is our criterion. We're just going to use this as a criterion. So whenever we do this, we are looking at a ratio. Okay, so again, it's not to say that you cannot convert it into other criteria. You can, but just need to make sure that when you are converting this to another or other criteria, you need to be careful about the conversion. If the conversion is rigorous and precisely mathematical conversion, then you can use the converted criteria. Okay, we're going to show that too. But here is the ratio. So whenever we talk about benefit cost ratio, well, benefit cost analysis, we are talking about benefit cost ratio. So we just take the ratio, and if the ratio is greater than 1 or exceeds 1, then we'll accept the project. Otherwise, we'll reject the project. So to provide more details, we can use some simple equations or simple formula to show for the detail. So benefit, okay, as you can see, the first part, right? It is just a sum. It's just a sum of all the benefit. However, we need to consider their time value. So we need to go through a conversion to a certain point. Here we bring all of them to the present time. Similarly, we'll consider the cost. Again, we are summing all the costs, right? Cost cash flows. However, for costs at different time, we need to convert it into the same time. Okay, so these two values will be compared at the same time. You can compare them at the present time. You can compare them in the future time. You can compare them somewhere in between. Okay, somewhere in between, or even beyond, but that's not that meaningful. You can convert it in somewhere in between. As long as you convert both time series, both cash flows to the same time point and sum them up, then you can perform this benefit cost ratio analysis, as you can see here. Our best benefit cost ratio at interest rate I is equal to B over C. If it's greater than 0, we'll accept. If it's not, then we'll reject. Okay. And we can also break the cost into two parts. Because when we have a project, sometimes we say, okay, this project only requires the investment of certain amount, and the rest of the time will be just benefits. But usually that will not be the case. Usually we still have so-called operation and maintenance costs. Right? So maybe an investment happened for the first year, for the second year, or at least during the construction or development periods. But after that, even though we are not adding new things, however, to maintain, to operate the facilities, the bridge, the road, the power plant, the reservoir, all of these require cost. So we need to sum their costs for the subsequent years and add them up, right? Which is something like this. So the benefit will be from all users, but the sponsors, okay, the sponsor could be government put in a certain amount of money for the construction, and there's a company which is in charge of operation and maintenance, and there will be costs associated with it. Okay. Once we know the individual investment costs, again we can sum them out. Similarly, we can estimate the operation and maintenance costs and sum them out. Of course, both of them are also adjusted. The value of them are adjusted based on the time value of money. So we can look at a simple example. Here we have example of again, could be a public project, could be something else. But in the beginning, we will have costs. Chances are they are investments. Okay, and they are investment. And then the operation and maintenance costs, which are recurring costs, that it happens annually. And they may not be the same. Maybe in the beginning it was low because it's new, and maybe the operations is still light. Later it becomes heavier. And after we complete the project, it will start to benefit users. So we see that after we complete it, benefits start to be benefit, and as it goes and the benefit increase, then maybe as the project or the outcome of the project start to deteriorate, and then the benefit is reduced. Okay, so this cash flow diagram shows all the cash flow, the cost coming down, and the benefits going up. We can, if we want to do this analysis, again, we need to bring all these costs to a certain time. All the benefit to a certain time could be present. Okay, and we can first take this cash flow diagram and show them in this this table. So benefit, these are benefit, these are costs, investment, operation and maintenance. You can also compute their difference. The difference can be used for analysis too. Right? We can compare their difference, and we can compare one by one a new series of cash flow, that is the individual differences. Then we can take this individual differences. Here clearly is benefit minus cost to get this difference. So if benefit is greater than cost, right? Overall benefit is greater than cost. The difference of individual at the individual time if you add them together, they should be positive too. We'll look at that. So for the example, we can clearly see that we can compute benefit. Okay, here we take them all to the present time. So given f5p, given f5p. Here cost, we do the same for the all cost occurrence. And we can also compute investment, right? 210, but the second 10 occur at the end of period 1, so we need to bring it one period earlier. So this is investment. Then we can just subtract, or we can just again add the rest of the parts. We will get this number. So we can compute benefit cost ratio at 10% interest rate, and take the sum of the benefit divided by the sum of these two, or the sum of the cost directly, and we get the ratio equal to 1.92, which is greater than 1. So the decision will be to accept the project, because the benefit cost ratio of all the cash flow reflects that it's greater than 1, which meets the criterion of accepting the project. And earlier I mentioned that do a more rigorous conversion, we can derive different decision criteria. However, the conversion need to be mathematically rigorous, because we are doing this quantitative analysis. So everything is through calculation, formula calculation, and the values need to be converted precisely. And here we know we see the ratio, or the criterion we have just described, is benefit over cost. If it's greater than 1, then we accept. Right? What we can do is we can convert it into, we move the cost to the right hand side, and we have, if benefit is greater than cost, we can accept it. Okay. If benefit subtract cost is greater than 0, we can accept it. Right? If benefit can subtract cost, then we can accept it. So this is exactly the same as saying that if in the end the present worth of the overall cash flow, is greater than 0, then we'll accept the alternative. So that gives us, or that leads us to a new criterion, which is if the present worth of the project is greater than 0, then we'll accept the project. Otherwise, we'll reject. So this is the present worth greater than 0 criterion. In fact, come from the benefit cost ratio, and we will gradually derive different kinds of criteria based on this logic. So with benefit cost ratio as the criterion for evaluating the feasibility of a project, we can further expand the criterion to evaluating and selecting from multiple alternatives. Suppose we have two alternatives. They both have their own benefits and costs associated with their projects. So what we can do, since we only have the benefit cost ratio as the evaluation criterion, so what we want to do is we can compute the increment between two alternatives. So if we have project K and project J, we can subtract their benefits and subtract their cost, investment cost, operation and maintenance cost, and we get the increments, delta B, delta I, and delta C prime. And we take the ratio of the increments. Okay, the increment represents the increment of project K over project J. Whatever difference that project K has over project J. So the benefit will represent the additional benefit. The cost will also represent additional cost that K has over J, meaning that we are subtracting all the common identical parts. We only want to compare the difference. I think I mentioned about this in the earlier presentation. When we make comparison, there's no point making comparison of same thing. We can simply remove them. We just need to compare those differences. So here we look at the increment. The increment will also show us the advantage of one over the other. So this is called incremental analysis. We can use it to compare two alternatives. Right? Every time we compare two, right? Pairwise, then in the end we can come to the conclusion that which one would be the best. So here is the incremental analysis between K and J, and we use K to subtract J so that we know what K has more than what J has. Again, it's just to subtracting the common part between these two and retain the incremental parts, and we can do this incremental analysis. With this incremental value, we can compute the benefit cost ratio of the incremental cash flow. Okay, so it's K minus J, and this is the benefit cost ratio. When the benefit cost ratio is greater than 1, which means that this new will accept this alternative, and this incremental alternative represent K over J. Okay, so if this incremental cash flow is accepted, meaning that K is better than J. If this incremental analysis, the increments that we get between K and J is rejected, which means that the additional part, the increment part from J to K is not good, then we'll reject K, we'll take J. So again, if the benefit cost ratio of K minus J is greater than 1, we'll accept alternative K. If it is smaller than or equal to 1, we'll accept alternative or opportunity J. We can use use an example to illustrate the use of this incremental analysis. Here we have 3 alternatives or 3 opportunities, A1, A2, and A3, and they all have their investment cost, benefit, and operations and maintenance costs. And we have pre-computed their present worth. Okay, that is taking all these cash flow to the present time. That's their present worth. Okay, and then what we need to do is to determine which alternative will be the best. Before conducting this incremental benefit cost ratio analysis, when we look at the present worth, I think all of you can probably say that, okay, based on the earlier derivation, we know benefit cost analysis can be converted to present worth analysis. The present worth analysis tells us that alternative A2 has the largest present worth, right? So we should select alternative 2. Okay. However, if we are not using present worth, okay, we are using benefit cost analysis. What we need to do is we want to take two alternatives and compare them by using incremental benefit cost analysis and see which one we are going to choose, and take the winner and compare with the third one and see and again compute this incremental benefit cost analysis and see who wins out, and that alternative which wins will be selected. Okay. Although here we, by looking at their present worth, we know that A2 should be the best. Let's go through the analysis for incremental benefit cost analysis and see what the result come out. So these are the benefits and costs. So we take alternative 2 over alternative 1. So it's 2 minus 1. So we got, again, we take the benefit, subtracting them, we take cost, investment costs, and the operation and maintenance costs, we subtract them, and the computation result is 1.5. The ratio is 1.5, which means that the increment from alternative A1 to A2 is greater than 1, meaning that alternative 2, if we use alternative 2, it presents additional value. So we'll select A2. So we take A2 and compare with A3. Again, we go through the simple computation for getting the ratio, which is 1.08. Again, this is taking from alternative 3 to 2, and the increment, the additional value created by this change is its benefit cost ratio is greater than 1, which means that the increment should be accepted, and in other words, alternative A2 is better than alternative A3, so we'll select A2. So in the end, we'll select A2. But remember, I just mentioned in the previous slide, I said that just by looking at the present worth of all three alternatives, we see alternative A2 give us the highest, the largest present worth. We've already known that, and that conclusion should be consistent with whatever approach we are taking to come up with the right selection. So incremental analysis on benefit cost ratio can also give us bring us to the same decision. That is, alternative A2 will give us the best benefit cost ratio.